Well, the weather may not feel like it, but golf season is right around the corner. And Mike, what we see in a lot of sports, teams head south, which they probably should. Matt Gehring is our head coach here at Earlham College. Busy, busy time coming up. You know, I was looking at your schedule, and we'll get an update here in a minute. At least from what I can tell, like most spring sports, you got to cram a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah, the way we handled it this year is we kind of spread out the fall a little bit more, just so we could kind of anticipate. You know, you never know what the weather's going to be like, so you try to get as much in as early as you possibly can. So in the event that you have a player that could be in contention for an at-large come time for nationals, you make sure that you have your minimum amount of matches in. So we had a kind of a lengthy fall season. You know, typically they're about a month. This was about a month and a half, a month and 3 weeks for us for in the fall. So got a little bit later start in the spring. We're playing in 4 events in the spring, and then our 2-weekend kind of breakdown for our conference championship. So 6 total weekends here in the spring. So I think it's a happy balance. I think we've got a lot of good tournaments to get into with some good regional teams. One tournament that we've never really been in before with some NAIA teams, so that'll be a good kind of test right off the bat. But we're looking forward to the schedule. We're looking forward to the teams that we're going to be playing, a lot of conference opponents. So we're going to kind of see where we stack up real early with the rest of the team in the conference. And, you know, it's business as usual now. It's spring, you know, you've worked all off season for this, and now it's time to kind of get down to business, get our hands dirty, and kind of see where we're at.
You know, when you finished out last year, I remember when you and I talked, the off season is vitally important, what they do themselves, because you got to put in some individual work on your own. Yeah,
you know, there was a few guys that stepped up. You know, we had some guys leave from last fall's squad. We lost one of our top players to academics, and at Earlham, that's the name of the game. You know, we're academics first here in our program and at Earlham, so it's kind of like next man up. So I think they saw that, you know, some of the players that may have not had an opportunity or were kind of on the cusp of getting an opportunity in the fall, you know, this was their chance in the off season to get in, to get some work done. We've probably had 3 or 4 days outside where we were actually able to practice, but yesterday was our first day of qualifying. It was 40 degrees, it was 30-mile-an-hour winds, it was rain. The last group on 18 played in snow. I mean, it was, if all of the elements could be combined in a round of golf, that was it. I was pleased that nobody gave up. You know, Forest Hills right now, for this stage of the season, the course itself is in pretty decent shape. It's soft. You know, the greens aren't mowed, but, you know, it's green. It's not, you know, spotty. You know, you're getting good lies. So, you know, they've been able to play. And I was satisfied with how the qualifying went yesterday. We played 9, and if you take it over an 18-hole span, we shot about a 318.
Okay.
Which is okay. You know, that's kind of a nice spot to be this early in the season. We'll really get to see, you know, we have 3 rounds of qualifying coming up next week down in Myrtle Beach. So that'll be a big test for everybody involved. You know, it's actually going to be on quality golf courses. They're going to be mowed. They're going to be short, or the grass is going to be short. They're going to run a little faster than we've had the last 3 weeks. So I'm anxious. I know that the guys are anxious to get down there and get some qualifying in and get some good rounds in before we play next weekend.
Yeah, nothing like good weather, huh?
Oh, well, even, I mean, the trouble of it is, you know, you think going down to Myrtle Beach is going to be great weather, you know, sunny and 75. The highest is going to be 61. It's going to be anywhere between 10 and 20-mile-an-hour winds while we're down there right off the ocean. We're teeing off at 8 o'clock in the morning, so by the time we're done is when the high is going to hit. So it's going to be no different than, you know, what we've kind of played in terms of, you know, early on, you know, 40, 50-degree weather. But it'll be nice to get away, get on courses that are, you know, in early season form, that are open. They've had some play on it, so it'll be good to be able to get on some of those courses before we actually get in tournament play.
Coach, you mentioned you lost a player from last year. I know that's tough, but you got to find a way, as you said, next man up. Who are some of the players you're counting on? And again, I like the idea that you have the competition that you didn't have in your first year, but you did last year, and now you have more competition this year. Right.
So kind of how we do it is we have, you know, we give exemptions from tournament to tournament based on how players finish. So we've got 2 players that are getting exemptions for the first tournament of the year, Graham Sherrard and Garrett Schuler, based on they were the 2 lowest averages that we had in the fall.
Okay.
So they're going to be exempt for the first tournament, but by no means, with them being exempt, does that mean that, that we're still not going to push them to improve. It just means that they can kind of go into qualifying a little bit more relaxed. They can still work on their games a little bit, but they kind of know where they stand.
Yeah.
The guys to be looking out for this year in terms of the top 5, Nate Minette, he battled injury the last half of the season. He actually, when we played down in Miami Whitewater for the state line shootout, he actually, and this is no joke, he played the last 8 holes one-handed because his shoulder gave out on him. He had some rotator cuff stuff last spring.
Yeah.
And no joke, he played the last hole. As soon as he made impact, he had to let go basically this far from hitting the ball. So he played it one-handed, and he actually played it even.
Wow.
So he'll be, as long as he's healthy, as long as we can keep him healthy, he'll be in the mix. Matt Truex, who's a sophomore, he'll be in the mix as well. He was our number 5 last year. He worked really hard in the offseason in terms of getting in and hitting. Patrick Wright is also going to be another guy that's going to be there. There's some other guys that we just have to get them the reps. We've been hitting inside, but getting out and playing on grass, is going to be the thing too. Jared Burr, he's come on strong the last couple weeks in practice. So we're looking for big things basically from all of our upperclassmen. In terms of leadership and in terms of play, because they kind of understand the expectations. So really and truly the only 2 guys that have a spot for that first tournament are Graham and Garrett. So it's going to be a fun time to kind of see how it gets rounded out. We had qualifying yesterday, and it kind of panned out the way we kind of thought it was. The guys that had shown what they can do, they were in the top half, and the guys that had kind of been struggling were in the bottom half. And, everybody kind of knows where they stand going into spring break. So, like I said, it's going to be really exciting, and it's going to be kind of great to see that early, kind of the competitive juices flowing when we get down to Myrtle.
After Myrtle, what happens?
So we leave on Monday for Myrtle. We play there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's some pretty nice courses. We play Pine Lakes Golf Club, the Grand Dunes, and then the Long Bay Club, which is actually a Jack Nicklaus course. So,
good.
A little bit higher. We went to Myrtle last year, and they called the courses we played at last year kind of Tier B. These are Tier A.
Okay.
So, there are going to be some challenging courses. We'll leave Friday to head up to Louisville, kind of get up there around 6 or 7 p.m. And then we play in the Heritage Hill Collegiate, which is hosted by Lawrence Tech.
Okay.
So there's a lot of NAIA schools there. And then we play Saturday, Sunday there. It's a men and women's event, so our men and women both will get kind of that early season action.
Good.
Next weekend too. So we're really looking forward to it. Our expectation, as well as I do, we've talked about it's to go into every tournament trying to win.
Yeah.
So that's not going to change. Our guys are preparing for it. They've been preparing for it for 3 weeks that we've had practice and in the off season. So we're looking forward to the opportunity to get down there and play and kind of see where we're at and gauge our games off of some other pretty solid teams.
So it's the men's season, but the women will get a little bit of action too then.
Yeah, so the women it was kind of funny. So the women actually started, even though this is their non-traditional season, they actually started practice a week earlier than the men, just based on the guys went about a week longer than they did in the fall. So they've had about 4 or 5 weeks of practice.
Good.
Which is good. They've made some serious improvements. We battled a lot of injuries last year, a lot of illness last year, so it's good for them to kind of take kind of a reset, restart kind of mentality to the off season and kind of recharge the batteries and get in. But they've made some progress this off season, so I'm really anxious to kind of see that transpire onto the golf course and into a tournament setting. We lost. I shouldn't say we lost. One of our top players is kind of taking the semester off to kind of think about what she wants to do with academics, if she wants to continue on the path that she's going or if she wants to change. And then one of our players plays lacrosse. So
okay.
We only have 4 players this spring, so it's a good opportunity for them to all get into the tournament atmosphere. And when you only have 4 players, everybody's score counts, so it kind of the expectations are stepped up a little bit, and really every shot matters for us. We don't have that luxury of having that 5th score. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do. They've got 3 tournaments this spring, so it's going to be really nice for them to kind of use this as a launching pad into the summer, and then of course ultimately into next fall. They'll be able to figure out what they're doing with their swings this spring, so that they can work on it over the summer and kind of be ready to go for conference time next fall.
Hey, we're hoping that something a little bit different this year. We talk to some of the student athletes.
Yeah.
Not that we don't talk to you, Coach.
Hey, I
'cause
talk
love
enough.
talking to you,
I
but
talk enough.
you do a great job. I always like to kind of get to talk to them, see what's in their mind, because I know as student athletes and as young people, we don't know what's going through their minds sometimes.
No,
do we?
we don't, and that's the name of the game when it comes to coaching. You'd like to think that you know what they're thinking and kind of how they approach things, but it's a unique experience here at Earlham, and trying to balance the academic side with the athletic side and maintaining a high level priority for both of those. And they would be, I sit in my office all day until practice and get, all the fun paper pushing stuff out of the way. They're the ones doing the real work of having to go to class 3 or 4 hours a day, the 6-7 hours of homework at night, and still maintaining the level of dedication for golf. So they'll be able to provide a little bit different insight from a little bit different perspective than I can. It's been a few hundred years since I've been in college.
Yeah,
so.
Right. We'll pull it out. What you can't get out of them, we'll get out
That's
of them.
good. That's good.
So when do you leave again?
So we leave Monday bright and early, 7 a.m., 3 rounds Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then our first tournament. And I'll try to keep, I don't think there'll be any live scoring for that event, so I'll try to keep Twitter and as updated as possible, and we'll try to have results on goearlham.com with our SID department. So we'll try to keep the public as aware as possible when we can down
great.
there.
All right, Coach, good to see you
Thanks,
again.
Troy. Appreciate it.
Well, I won't see you next week.
Right.
But I'll see you the week after,
Yep,
and then
absolutely.
we'll kind of keep up with that for the rest of the year, okay?
Yep, sounds
All right,
good.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep,
Matt
thanks,
Gehring,
Troy.
the head coach for the Earlham men's and women's golf teams. Their season is now underway. We'll see you in a couple of weeks right here inside Earlham College Golf, right here in Radio Troy Digital Sports.